Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Safety. I'm your host, Dylan Sutherland from Protector Safety Gear. Throughout this series, we'll be interviewing industry experts to provide our audience with valuable insights on various categories of PPE. Topics will range from selection and standards to maintenance and care. This should ultimately assist you in selecting fit-for-purpose safety solutions for your site. From these discussions, we will create resources such as Toolbox Talk downloads and blogs, all of which will be available on our website, www.protector.co.za, for download. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Safety. Today we're going to get into conti suits, which is quite a big portion of all safety. We're really excited because we've got Abigail Louw. She's the marketing manager for Sweet-Orr, and she'll be sharing with us a lot of the insight as to where Sweet-Orr places their value and how they make sure that they are protecting workers that are wearing their conti suits. So I think let's kick it off with understanding your role within Sweet-Orr, and then we'll get into the garments and understanding what actually makes garments, what differentiates garments in the market.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dylan. You know what? We love talking about our brand, so I can talk for days about Sweet-Orr. For those who don't know, Sweet-Orr is the oldest protective workwear company in South Africa. We're the first clothing manufacturer to get SABS certification. We pride ourselves on fit-for-purpose solutions for all of our clients, both men and women's fits. And we supply various industries from low-risk environments to more hazardous environments. For example, mining, petrochemical, logistics, construction, public work, shipping, you name it. Really, Sweet-Orr has what you need in terms of protective workwear. And we've got a very rich history and very long history. A lot of people ask, where does Sweet-Orr come from? And we were actually founded in 1871 in Wappingers Falls in New York, USA. A lot of people don't know that. So I think we probably could say that we're the oldest workwear company. A man by the name of James Orr, who had spent some time in the gold rush on the West Coast. He saw a gap in the market for off-the-shelf workwear, and he was joined by his nephews Clayton and Clinton Sweet, and they embarked on making protective workwear, hence the name Sweet-Orr. That is often asked, where does the name come from? And Sweet-Orr has been in the business of protective workwear ever since then.
That's a rich history. I mean, it's really awesome to also, as I understand it, Sweet-Orr is 100% South African-owned brand now?
Correct, yes. So we have been based in Cape Town since 1931, originally in Woodstock in Cape Town, but ever since 1969, we've been based where we presently are based in Elsie's River in Cape Town. If you ever come and visit head office, we are literally in the same place where we've been since 1969. And yes, very proudly South African business. It's family owned and 100% South African.
Awesome. So from our side, from a general safety or across the board safety provider, we really are quite intentional with what we offer to people we try and keep safe. And I mean, that's our goal. We want to make sure that people are kept safe. Quite often we'll actually, unfortunately, have to walk away from a bit of business because if somebody wants to cut a corner, that's not the game we play. Maybe just to paint the picture from our side, how we see Sweet-Orr is certainly fit for purpose, and on two very specific points. Number one is the quality is unquestionable. I mean, we'll get into that a bit later, but it's a phenomenal range of garments. And the second part is the quality control that is within your business. That's the value that Protector gets engaging with a Sweet-Orr. How would you position, what do you think are the defining points for Sweet-Orr being fit for purpose from your view?
Yes, thank you so much. You know what? It's so great to hear that, Dylan, because we really are, you hear it, it's like a golden thread. Sweet-Orr is trusted for our quality and our durability. It makes me almost feel quite emotional because it's so important to us. It is absolutely 100% important that quality always comes through because we are protecting people with our workwear. So yes, fit for purpose is exactly that. What is the end user doing while wearing the garment? That is something that we always ask because we need to ensure that what we're providing for them in terms of protective workwear is suitable for their environment and for the person. So we ask three important questions when supplying you with protective workwear: what, where, and who. So what being, what is their job? So are they an electrician, an engineer, a painter, a security guard, a mechanic, a joiner, construction worker, miner, petrol attendant, janitor, a chemist? All of these things will change what we will give you in terms of protective workwear. And then the second question is where. This talks to environment. Where are they? What could they come into contact with in that environment? So they could come into contact maybe with corrosive chemicals, fire or flames, arc flashes. Are they in a cold environment? Are they in a hot environment or out in the sun all day? Do they need to be highly visible? And then the third question would be who. So is it a male or is it a female? And this is where our customized approach comes in. What is their size requirements? Do they need embroidery with the name on or a number? Do they need specific tape that is done in a particular way? It's not a one garment fit all or a blanket approach. We can be very precise in ensuring that the right protective workwear is precisely made for the exact end user. When we talk about customization and specialized protective workwear, we're not only talking about specialized fabrications. So much more goes into the construction of a garment to ensure comfort, durability, and safety. So, every single part of the process of our production is so important. So we'll look at the seams. So, we normally do lapped seams. Why? It's more comfortable. It's more durable. Is it the right fit for that particular wearer? When it comes to our thread, we don't cut corners. We don't use polyester thread. We use only coarse spun thread. Why? It's more durable. It will last you that much longer. We emphasize quality. For example, when we ask what is that person doing as a job, are they bending all day long? Where's the stress point when they're bending? We will then make sure that we put stress points into where the quality of the thread is better on the stress points of where they're bending over. And of course, in all of this, we've got safety standards which we rely on and follow, and we cannot cut corners. It really is important to us that we, at every single point within our production process, we make sure that the quality is of the highest importance, and the safety of our wearer is very important, Dylan.
Yep, I can attest to that for sure, because it's such an easy decision to say, let's cut the corner, let's make it slightly cheaper because we get resistance on pricing. And I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but the way I see Sweet-Orr is they unapologetically give the right garment for the right application. And unfortunately, if you want the right garment for the right application, price is quite often the last conversation, and it has to be if you're getting the appropriate solution.
Absolutely. Sometimes the people select the incorrect garments, or they try to buy the incorrect garments. And we are asked, why are they choosing the incorrect ones? But sometimes I think people just maybe they don't know, they're unaware, they might be misinformed. And we try to guide this process, so that when you place your order, we ensure that the right garment is purchased for the right end user. And by asking the right questions, we can ensure that the fit-for-purpose Sweet-Orr solution for you is the right one. So application is very important. Acid, you don't need to buy your whole staff acid garments. Yes, that would probably be more expensive, but why? If you only need a 100% cotton garment for your staff, then that's what we'll provide for you. Maybe only heat protection is needed. Sometimes, the person purchasing they need to know the environment, they need to know the application. If it's in a hot environment, for example, moisture management and breathable garments would be necessary.
Fantastic to hear. And that's what's led to us having this discussion. The thinking of this podcast is, how do we create create the right questions, or at least get the viewers to realize, I can actually ask that kind of question, because my background is fall protection. Just understanding fall protection on its own is an entire job. Now we're sitting with safety officers, safety managers, procurement teams that are responsible for selecting the appropriate PPE across the board. And to be 100% honest, to know every single detail is probably impossible. And that's what we'd really want to create. That's why we get the experts and people we know unapologetically give the right solution for the right application and make sure that they understand that. In the preparation to this, I was quite interested. I went through your guys' website again, and something stuck out, which I don't know if it's your slogan or your tagline. And it read, Sweet-Orr is a protective clothing brand with a rich American heritage, which now I understand. Thank you. Creating hard-wearing workwear since 1871. Now, there's quite a few components to that slogan or tagline that stand out. For me, there were three words. It was creating hard-wearing workwear. And I think because we don't think about the stress that this equipment goes under. I mean, if you use or I use my own jeans as an example, I burn through jeans and I wear them once or twice a week. Now we're expecting somebody to get a pair of garments and last the entire year wearing them 5 times a week. And that creating hard-wearing workwear for me, I would like you to elaborate on that. And is that something that Sweet-Orr is proud of?
Absolutely, Dylan. Yes. You know what? I think we don't often see the kind of environments people work in on a daily basis, and they're tough environments. One of our things we say is tough jobs, tough workwear. We have to make sure that you have the workwear that's as tough as your job, right? And that's kind of what we do here. So yes, selecting the fabrics that are going to be durable and long lasting, and the construction of it needs to be durable and long lasting. And yeah, that we really do pride ourselves on making sure that we're the go-to for that kind of protection within the workspace.
I've noted, and I mean, we don't really look at it and say, well, it lasted exactly 2 times or 5 times, but I think through my exposure in PPE, I've seen Sweet-Orr garments last anywhere from 2 to 5 times longer than competitive garments that are in the industry. What is that down to? How do you guys get that right? Because I know that it's a selection thing and we need to get the selection right, but even if we look at a like-for-like garment, we experience that.
Yeah. You know what? And I think it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier on. It's not only your selection of your fabrication, but it is your construction. It really is. I mean, we've seen some strange things where people have told you it's the same thing from a competitor. But when you look at the makeup of it, I mean, we are so proud of our garments here. You can literally wear Sweet-Orr garments inside out and they would look as beautiful on the inside, because we ensure that it's made durably. Those lap seams, not everyone has that. Not everyone uses the same kind of thread. And when you pay attention to detail, to the finer detail, that's what makes a garment last longer. We get so many messages and emails, and even just on our Instagram, of people saying, look, I've had this for so many years, for 20 odd years, and it's still going. So yeah, it's something that we can pride ourselves on. They are durable, long lasting garments.
So I think the fabric, fabric isn't fabric. There's different qualities, there's different types, and understanding that. But I think, again, from my exposure to your guys' processes, that level of detail from quality control, making sure we don't accept mediocre or subpar fabric, is one element. The other side, though, like you've mentioned now, the seams, is that not more expensive to do? Because, it's a much longer process, is it not?
It is. We have highly trained and skilled employees at Sweet-Orr as well. yeah, I mean, it definitely would be quicker and cheaper to do it all the other way around, right? But we choose not to. And we make sure that we've got the right equipment and machinery also to do these things in a proper manner. Yes, lap seams are going to be more expensive and probably more time consuming, but we'd rather do that than the other way around. Yeah, so we basically, I mean, there are many questions about how things are done here. But I think, I think you've maybe come to visit Sweet-Orr, and yeah, our staff are highly skilled and trained. It really is like a big family here of people who love what we do, and we'll put that extra effort in because we know how important it is. We are literally protecting a life with our garments.
I'm quite curious. Is that filtered into the team that's actually manufacturing the garment? Do they fundamentally feel that?
Yeah, we based in Cape Town since 1969. We have staff who've been here for 30, 40, 50 years with us. That's not even an exaggeration. We literally had a guy retire 2 weeks ago who's been with us for 46 years. It is, I think we really do try and make people aware, all of us who work here, aware of the important role that they play in the safety of the person who's going to be wearing the garment. So whether you are in marketing like me, but actually more importantly, if you're probably sitting and sewing a zip on all day long, that's your job. You will do it to the best of your ability because you know how important it is for the overall garment once it's constructed. So yes, I think that I think that everyone here does know that. They know the importance of their role within the whole business and the whole garment construction. We've got family members like mothers, daughters, mothers, sons, grannies, and I think they kind of pass on that importance to one another. And this, yes, obviously the skills and the training, etc. But the pride that you feel, I think, if you walk through our manufacturing building and our factory, and you can actually feel that. We've had recent visitors who've walked through and they've said, "But everyone looks so happy and proud to be here." And I think that is something that we try and achieve at Sweet-Orr, to know that actually what you're doing is very, very important.
I think that the quality of the garment speaks to that point. I mean, people that take pride and to be consistently that high level of garments, yeah, I think it is a culture and it's a belief more than anything else. Abigail, I just wanted to touch on, I think we like to try and create what we call toolbox talks out of these sessions. And I think there might be an opportunity. You've mentioned different environments, and can we touch on the different fabrics just at a really broad level of what are the fabrics and the considerations that the listeners should, because we don't want somebody wearing one of your Nomex garments where they are maybe in a construction site. That just would not make sense. So can we maybe go through that, just the different types of fabrics and who should be looking at that kind of fabric in a business?
Yes, absolutely we can. So yes, we've got various ranges. We've got our essential workwear range, and then we've got our specialized workwear range. So within our essential workwear range, that is where you're going to find our 100% cotton garments. This is more for your low to medium risk environments. We've got our 100% cotton one-piece and two-piece overalls. We also have our denim range within this range as well. So we've got what we call our J54. I'm sure a lot of people know it's our more popular and more common in various ways. Our J54 is a 220 GSM weight of fabric, so it's a little bit thinner, but that's important because it's the 100% cotton, lovely, comfortable, breathable fabric. We've also got our D59, which is a little bit of a heavier weight. It's 270 GSM. And this, we call it our MX heavy duty. So it's also cotton. It's just a little bit thicker, a little bit harder wearing. And then we also have our D59 flame garments. So these are the fabric has been dipped, so that when it comes into contact with flame or fire, it will protect you. We also have our more specialized fabrications, which are for the more hazardous environments, protecting the wearer from heat, flame, acids, and electric arc flashes. So these are our, we've got our flame acid range. So all of these ranges, you can get your overalls in terms of 2-piece or 1-piece. So flame acid, so that's going to help you in an environment where you could be exposed to acid spills as well as flame. It's become incredibly popular, our flame acid garments. A lot of people buying this at the moment. And then flame retardant, which is going to protect you from flame. We've got both inherently flame retardant and flame retardant. So this particular flame retardant is our inherently flame retardant. I'm sure you know what that means, but for those who don't know, so flame resistance that is actually built into and woven into the chemical structure. We have our more specialized ranges, which are for more hazardous environments. And these, protecting the wearer from heat, flame, acids, electric arc flashes. So we've got our flame acid range, a range that has become very popular in the last little while. And of course, this flame acid range is going to protect you from flames as well as acid and heat. We've also got our flame retardant range. This flame retardant range is our inherently flame retardant. And for those who don't know what inherently flame retardant means, so these are of fabrics that are flame resistance. The flame resistance is actually built into and woven into the chemical structures of the garment. It's not dipped after the fact, and actually can't be washed out of the fabric. So that's our flame retardant. We also have our acid repellent, which will protect you from acid spills or corrosive environments. And we've got our arc flash range. The arc flash range, this is, of course, if you're working, for example, with electricity, or there could be a sudden flash or electricity heat, then this will protect you from those environments. So, for example, if you're working at, ESCOM or somewhere, this is the type of garment that you would need. So, yeah, we really do have a range that will cater to everyone's needs. You can buy them stock standard as they are, or you can customize them to the needs of your industry.
Yeah, and I think it's a really valid point. The inherently, I think you've explained it really well, but I think let's dive into that, because you've mentioned that it doesn't wash out. Can you just dive into what does wash out? What does that look like in terms of a period? What kind of wash cycle creates this washing out of a flame retardant garment?
Yeah. So I think it's something that people should know about, because I feel like sometimes people come to us saying, oh, they've got a inherently flame retardant garment from someone else, not from Sweet-Orr, but it actually isn't inherently. So we've got both. We've got both options of inherently flame retardant, and we've got flame retardant. So like I said, inherently flame retardant being actually, in the thread of the fabric, it's built in, so it literally cannot be washed out. But then if you have the flame retardant that is simply dipped, it also will have the same effect, but it unfortunately will wash out within a few washes. I think what's important to know, Dylan, is that with all of our garments, we've got very clear washing instructions and guides, which will tell you how many washes you can expect to have out of a garment.
And I think that's, so in general, I think 40 to 50 washes is what we see as a dipped garment, a D59. And I think, again, now getting into that inherently flame retardant is there's two things that happen, right? So the first is, who's ever counted how many times I've washed a garment? I think we must be honest. I definitely don't know. Like I said, my jeans, I can see they get damaged, I don't know what wash they get damaged on. The damage I see on my jeans, though, is more from an aesthetic point, where if you have this dip that is now washed away, that is there to protect you, I mean, you're exposed without knowing it.
Correct, yes.
And into that, then, I mean, this inherently flame retardant garment, you saying doesn't have to, nobody has to count the washes. It will stay flame retardant whether it's today, if it's still in good condition a year later, no matter how many washes.
Absolutely. Yeah, isn't that incredible?
That's phenomenal.
And
blows
my mind.
I think the second part of it is we don't always think about the dip itself makes the garment quite heavy and not as comfortable. When you get into the inherently flame retardant, I mean, that is a phenomenal garment to get in. I'll give you a practical example. We work with a company that had to go into basically a column. And the column is quite tight, so it's a 3-meter diameter. And the guys go in from the top, and we assisted them making sure they're safe. And their biggest challenge or concern was heat, because as they staying in this column, they need to loosen bolts, and they can't just go all the way down this 30-meter column. And the longer they stay in there, as the sun comes up, it gets hotter and it gets... So we said to them, but there's an option here which you could probably... And we gave them one of the Nomex garments. And what was surprising to me was when I got feedback, I actually got complaints. And the complaint was we got too cold, because they're so used to having this heavy jacket on, where now they had this Nomex garment which kept them safe, but ultimately also was a thinner material and still served the same function. I think that is a phenomenal piece of technology.
Yeah, I mean, we've come such a long way, really. It's you don't have to be uncomfortable in these workwear suits anymore. You know, you can actually have something that protects you as well, but is actually comfortable and breathable. It's quite phenomenal. It's really, really fantastic. Yeah.
Not something that I'm too keen or concerned for, but they also look good. I mean, that is a big element where
Yes.
If it fits nicely, people are proud of what they look like.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you really, gone are the days you need to look ugly in these uniforms. We try our best to also, you want to feel good. You want to be able to look and feel good in your work. You're wearing it all day long. Why not? You want to feel good in what you're wearing.
And more so as a company. I mean, a company is proud of their image. A company is proud of their brand. If the team looks good, that's definitely a component that we're seeing more and more become a decision factor, actually. Yes, it needs to serve the purpose, but do we look good in it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Morale, hey?
That's it. So back onto my jeans situation. When we're working with conti suits, if that does happen, so I buy a new pair of jeans because they've been damaged and they're no longer comfortable. Is there a general best practice that people should be following when it comes to conti suits on sites, whether it's a regular J54 or it's something that's like a D59 or a Nomex? Is there a standard procedure to when garments should be replaced?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said earlier on, we definitely would tell our customers to definitely follow your washing instructions. Yes, so what should be considered when replacing workwear? We really say, use according to washing instructions. It will extend the lifespan of your garment and it won't compromise on the safety, which of course needs to be considered. Our washing instructions, for example, on our acid would say you wash it, then you apply heat, This will lift the fibers again, and the repellency will be back in action. And your garment should last about 50 washes. So follow those instructions. It will actually help you to make sure that your garment has a lifespan. Don't leave your garments lying out in the sun for the weekend. We sometimes get weird and wonderful stories about, we've seen how garments are washed by maybe the laundry at a construction site or whatever, but then left out for the whole weekend to dry. It's not going to be good for the garment to be out in the sun for the whole weekend. Don't try and repair the garments by yourself. It might compromise on the safety of the garment. We usually guide you with the amount of washes you can get out of a garment, and then we recommend replacing them. So also, for example, if an acid garment has protected you from an acid spill, but then has holes in it, but it's protected you, do replace that garment, because then it's done its job, but there needs to be replaced again. So yeah, we need to realize that, once it's done its job, it needs to then be replaced again. So we can guide you on that.
I think we need to just hone in on that point for a second, because we very often, and you've just alluded to it, and we experience it quite a bit, where there's sometimes a reaction of, I've been welding and the garment's all battered up, this is a bad garment. But to your point, I mean, the product has done its job. It's made sure the person who was working with it did not get injured or damaged. And that's something I think people must be a lot more in tune with. You've mentioned acid. Same thing. The idea is the garment is there for the acid to, if the acid makes contact, not penetrate and hit the user. But definitely we need to consider replacing and making sure that it's actually changed, because it's not going to do it again.
Exactly. Absolutely. We hope and pray it might, but that if it falls on the exact same spot, it may not. So, we're very proud to show how the acid actually literally drips off the garment. But if it is a very corrosive substance, it might go through to protected you. It might have made a little hole, might not protect you again the second time. So yes, make sure that you replace when necessary.
Abigail, what we see quite often, and it's not specifically linked to conti suits, it's across the PPE board, is people are out there to make a sale, and people tell, unfortunately, customers that are misinformed or unaware, certain myths, or we see them sometimes as a sales gimmick. Are there any that are linked directly to the conti suits which you could share that you've come across and have been quite entertained by, or maybe appalled by?
Yes, I'm sure there are many weird and wonderful stories out there of sales gimmicks and things. However, at Sweet-Orr, we pride ourselves on ethical practices at all levels. We try our best to demystify and guide our clients to make the most appropriate purchase for their industry. So we won't tell you to buy a flame acid garment when all you need for your particular environment is 100% cotton. You need to ask the right questions when buying protective workwear. Certification and product spec sheets can be provided so that you can be sure that you are getting a 100% cotton garment and not polycotton when you've specifically asked for 100% cotton. So, as someone purchasing, know that you've got that power to actually say, okay, show me the certifications and the spec sheets, which Sweet-Orr happily provides. So you can ask for those kinds of things. Know the difference between, like we mentioned earlier, inherently flame retardant. Ensure that when receiving a quote from a different supplier, that you're not bamboozled. Sometimes a customer will ask why our price is more expensive and will show us a comparative quote, but then they've been quoted for a flame retardant garment, but it doesn't have flame tape on it. I mean, that could lower your price, but it's certainly not going to protect the wearer. Look out for things like restricted substances. We ensure that we don't use nickel. We are a nickel-free business. Shortcuts are taken on garment construction, but it's going to affect the longevity and the durability of the garment. The non-compliance with safety standards. This is something that we pride ourselves on, and we're not going to cut corners there. All of these can affect the price of the garment, but also compromises on safety, quality, and durability.
Phenomenal advice. Thank you. And when it comes to, the future, we're in an age where things are moving quite rapidly and evolving in front of our eyes. How do you guys see it from a workwear point? And if there is any secrets, don't feel obliged to share those. But if there is any technology that's on the horizon that you guys are quite excited for, I'm quite curious, and I think the audience would also gain value from that.
Yeah, you know what? Sweet-Orr, we've been around for 153 years and still going strong, and you cannot do that if you're not continuously innovating. So we're continuously innovating. It might not seem like something massive to anyone else, but it's sometimes those little small steps of continuously innovating. Fit for purpose is an industry, an environment, and we customize for you. So product development based on consumer needs, and sometimes new needs, new markets, new industries and trends. We have to continuously know what is out there and what the demand is, to make sure that we can supply to that particular demand. Machinery and approach to production and product innovation is always moving forward and improving here at Sweet-Orr. We take training and development very seriously here at Sweet-Orr as well, because it's a very highly skilled job in terms of manufacturing. Something interesting, Dylan, is that we also, we literally work with CPUT and CETA, and we've got learnership programs. We start, students off, they'll train with us for a year, and then after that year, they'll get employed by us. But then they get to learn on the ground. They get to make certain things, and that's how they learn and pass on. We pass on the skills. Like I mentioned earlier on, we've got staff who've been working here for 30, 40, 50 years. Interesting story about our durability of our garments that I can also just share with you. Last year, we actually got an email from someone involved in the renovations of the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. I'm sure you know about it. And they actually found a garment, one of Sweet-Orr overalls, from a wall that was built in the 1930s. And this overall was in the wall, but it was fully intact, literally from the 1930s, showing the durability of the Sweet-Orr garment from that time. So yeah, I think we've continued with that. We've continued innovating, but still keeping onto the tradition of our trust of durability and quality. Something interesting that you might also not know about is the New York Times also named Sweet-Orr arguably the first manufacturer of the commercial blue jeans as we know it today. I'm not sure if you even knew that, but no. We look at our past, we find it pretty fascinating that we've come such a long way, but we continue to innovate going forward.
Fantastic. I hope you guys are asking for that conti suit back. It's almost 100 years. I think you guys should get it in a memorial there.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to get that back to us.
Just take the whole piece of slab out the wall. Awesome. So I think the closing part of what we're discussing is linked to specific risk or environment protection. How do you guys see it from a Sweet-Orr point when we talk about specific risk and environments selecting the appropriate garment?
Yeah, so we really need to make sure that the garment is specifically fit for purpose for the person wearing it, like I said earlier as well. But what I'd like to share with you is how specific we are at Sweet-Orr. I think oftentimes we've noticed that sometimes women in the industry are overlooked, and do they have the right fit for ladies? And that is something that we've taken on as something very important to us as well. And you'll see that in all of our ranges, we've got ladies fits too. Ladies' hips are different to men's. The rises are higher, or the in-leg needs to be a little bit different. And And we've got a particular suit, for example, if you're a woman in mining, now you need to wear a full piece, one piece overall, but you go to the bathroom in a different way to a man. So we at Sweet-Orr actually developed something brand new for women in mining, a one piece overall. It has, in the front, it basically looks like a one piece, but in the back, it's got a high-rise waist, and it looks kind of like the jacket is hanging over, so it looks like a two-piece in the back. And yeah, it zips down at the side seams, and that's how they can go to the bathroom without having to take the entire thing off. And yeah, I think, don't you think that's important?
That's an extremely,
they are cared for, and that it's made specifically for them. They can, a lady could also hook on something within them. If they have an ill-fitting garment, if they're wearing a men's garment, they could, if it's not fitting them properly, it could actually be dangerous, right? So we make sure that you feel good, you look good, it's to your fit. It's not too oversized, it's not too small for you. And I think that also makes you feel good in your environment. Certain things, for example, something that we also developed here is our HACCP garments, which means that the pockets, if you are working in an environment where you could get hooked, a pocket could get hooked, we then put the pockets on the inside, so nothing can get hooked. We really do think about everything, Dylan, and it might sound small, but for the person wearing it, I think it's a very big deal. And at the end of the day, it's your safety that's important, and we're making you feel comfortable, and we're making you feel safe.
And that's vital. I mean, making sure that somebody's comfortable leads directly to them being safe. We've seen it time and time again. If somebody's not comfortable with PPE, just as a simple example, if the mask isn't comfortable, it goes off. It's not serving any purpose. And I think what you're saying is spot on. We don't look at it necessarily from a conti suit point, but it's just as valid.
Absolutely.
But awesome. Abigail, thank you so much for your time, and we really, truly appreciate all the input from Sweet-Orr. And yeah, you guys need to carry on with the great service that you're offering South Africa, and apparently even into New York, and I know into Africa recently. So all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it. And yeah, have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope this episode added value to you. If you are experiencing any safety challenges on your sites and require any additional information, please do leave us a message on LinkedIn via Protector Safety Gears page, or alternatively follow the link below and share a message with us, because maybe it can create value or a valuable conversation for future episodes. Be sure to also follow us on LinkedIn. There will be some valuable information shared from today's discussion.